Hey everybody, it is me, Knight, and of course Kyo is along with me. And we just got done with Absolute Zero Complete Edition. Uh, so Kyo, what is your first thoughts about it right off the bat?
Interesting map. I haven't seen too many like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have some really cool points to it. Like it the layout of the map is pretty great. It's easy to follow. You kind of have an idea, but there's places that you can get lost or not sure what to do. The biggest issue, though, like I think it was like what part three where you had to revive me to get up the elevator. That's a problem because that that is what I call a glitch. I mean, in the main game, if one person dies, you can still use an elevator as long as the rest of the party's there. Otherwise, you're scrounging up for like a defibrillator just to revive one person. And then you don't know if another person dies if you still can go up there. That's not good. That should be adjusted or fixed, I would say. But other than that, yeah. It was a pretty decent map. Another thing is stop using copyrighted music. That's a no-no in terms of not just mod developing, but I think it's that shit could get you flagged on YouTube, especially if you try to promote it on YouTube. Um, there are certainly better choices to use for music for a background than that.
And then most of the time you won't be hearing it anyway because you're fighting.
Yeah, but there's a lot of downtime. Like straight up, as we got closer to the end, I could really hear the music come up more and more, and I have to continuously talk over it just so that way I don't get copyright stricken by anything. And given I don't have to, I could upload the video no problem, but like and not monetize it. But it's still that's bad because copyright can really put some dampers on any mods. Like this is a thing that Nintendo has straight up done several times with Mario and Zelda, preventing you to get the what is it, the Unity engine ones or something like that with their games and stuff like that. Not only that, just music in general. You could take remixed versions of video game music and put in. You could probably just use the Left 4 Dead soundtrack, and it would do just as well. Because at least then, that's not so much copyrighted as it's already in Left 4 Dead. But that's just me. Anyways, let's, I guess, go to the qualifications, because it's been a while. We're kind of a little rusty on the qualifications here. So, 5 stars maximum, 1 star minimum. Kyo, since you're the only one with us, and there is no dread. What did you think about the number of infected? We killed about 4,500 zombies. Was it underwhelming, overwhelming, the right amount? What did you think?
You know, really, it wasn't too bad. I'd give it the full 5. I think it was decent map design that allowed that to go through.
I agree. Like, the number of infected didn't really affect the gameplay and progression. I say more towards the end where the finale started getting a little bit too hectic. But then again, the finale is kind of built to be kind of hectic. So, overall, it was pretty good. So, I think it was the right amount. I don't particularly think that it should be about 4,000 or more zombies to do that on normal difficulty, but then again, this had a lengthy parts to the map to where it could pretty much do that and not have any problems.
Oh yeah, I mean, all those poles were almost twice as long as most other ones.
Yeah, and on top of that, they gave us enough ammo to continuously fight them off. It's not like we were always trying to look for ammo. So,
Yeah, you basically could use the same gun from beginning to end, more or less,
oh
without
yeah,
having to worry about switching guns.
yeah. So overall, I would say it's a full star there from both of us. So length of campaign. This was an hour and a half. We clocked our recordings at 1 hour and 44 minutes, but we also talked for a little bit prior to starting that map, and then of course the credits sequence. So I'm gonna say it's an hour and a half long. Do you think that's too long or too short, or was it the right amount? Sense of quietness from you.
Hmm.
You trying to
So,
think of it?
well, too long?
Yeah, too
I
long or too
mean,
short, or is it just the right amount?
I think a few posts kind of carried on a bit too long. You
Okay.
know, it just they could have ended a bit earlier in a couple of those maps, especially that finale, which seemed to just have that three kind of pulls to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll give it 3 stars. It's kind of annoying.
Well, I mean, you mean a half star because we always put a star per rating. It just helps me to kind of give an average star rating on this. I give it a half star, just because it did have its moments where it felt too long. Um, the finale, yeah, it did feel like it had too much going for it. It could have just as easily taken where we had to wait for the tank and made it last a lot longer instead of going as quick as it did to go to the second part. I can see the creativity behind it, but it's one of those things where it's too much. Too much for one part of it. And on top of it, like the previous, like the middle three parts of maps felt like they were too long in terms of progression. Some things just don't need to be that long for a progression, especially for a 5 part map. It should be like an hour long at most. An hour and a half, given we died twice, and that was really on the finale. I would say we only lost maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes when we died because we died pretty early on in that finale. Other than that, like everything else seemed like take 20 minutes long. And no part of a map should ever feel like it takes 20 minutes. It should be averaging like 10 minutes to 15 at most. So yeah, I give it a half star. So moving on to difficulty. We played it on normal. Do you think there was enough health, weapons, throwables around spawning there, or did the specials in common infector overwhelm us to the point where it didn't feel enough? What did you think about that?
Well, like I said, we never really felt overwhelmed at any time, and we always seem to have ammo. I mean, I only a few times that I wind up running out of ammo, and that's maybe more me not conserving ammo enough.
Well, we are rusty. We haven't played it, so we used to conserve it all the time when we played these blind maps.
So, overall, no, I'd give this one a 4 star. I don't really feel like there was anything too off on this one.
I would give it 3/4. It most of the time it was fine. Like there was always an abundance of weapons. There was always abundance of health. Always abundance of everything you needed. But sometimes, like usually, it was the finale where it became harder to find health than anything, and that's what killed me the first time. And I was just constantly looking like, where's a health pack? Because the bots would take it, or where's a health pack because they just didn't spawn one. And that was really on the very first part of the finale. Um,
Yeah, because once you got to the second part, you got it was like that's where all the stuff was that we needed to stock up with.
yeah. Um, and the first part also had this feeling of overwhelmness because of how fast everything was going. 2 to 3 tanks spawning within almost, I'd say within 5 minutes, if not shorter.
Well, the one thing is they didn't really do a very good job of explaining what was going on with that part.
Yeah, like the first part,
Because,
like we had 3 tanks spawning within like 4 to 5 minutes, along with a bunch of common and specials.
but there also was the tank
Yeah,
that was
and
supposed to help us.
yeah, they didn't
But
feel like
we
it
did-
did.
Like it literally took us a couple of tries before we figured out that that tank was coming.
Yeah, and really the finale is the one that kind of breaks this map a little bit. Overall, like the maps, it was doing fine up until this point, and again, this is brings it back to like the length of campaign. It was just kind of gone everywhere at that point, and that's really not good for map design, at least not in my opinion, because given the finale is always supposed to be hectic, it's supposed to be kind of difficult. I understand that, but at the same time, it shouldn't have to feel like it's going anywhere and everywhere, and you have to search every nook and cranny for a health pack or pills or an adrenaline or even a throwable, because it's so spread out that we have to look everywhere. On top of that, there is literal ice physics going into that area where I'm sliding around a little bit, I'm losing like where I'm trying to grasp at, or I get stuck on a fence because the ice physics took me there and I gotta go around it. It's just too much is going on for that map, and it just needs some readjusting. Either put more health in there, or kind of just say we're gonna take out this part and just move on to the next one. It also kind of doesn't make sense that there's 2 different tanks at the same time. You know, that just kind of bothers me a bit. But that's more to design of map when we get to that. But so I'm gonna give it 3/4. It just needs some adjusting. So this brings us to design. Actually, speaking of design, what did you think about the design of the entire campaign? Was it bad? Was it good? Too long, obviously. But what did you think? Did it stick within the theme of Absolute Zero? Did it stick within the idea of it? Or did it feel like it was out of place?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know what to expect with this map. Well, when we went in, we had, the military base kind of like type thing we went in through, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden it became Skyrim.
Right.
And then it became a military base again.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, I honestly don't understand where that all came from.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Skyrim's a cold area, but,
Yeah.
it wasn't Skyrim from beginning to end. We went down... Were these supposed to be underground caves of some kind, or what?
Relics, ruins, I don't know.
But it was very neat and
Yeah.
creative. Overall, because of length, I'll give it 3/4.
3/4. I'm gonna give it a half. And I'm not saying that in terms of design, in terms of direction. Those 2 things were actually pretty decent. I liked the theme that it was trying to go for. My biggest pet peeve about it, besides the ice physics, because that was annoying, is that it felt like it was everywhere. Like, the first map, yeah, we went to a military base, but I'm hearing GLaDOS. Then there's the sound effects from another, like, opening the door, it sounded like it was shouting in my ears, and I could barely understand what it was saying. But I'm hearing GLaDOS every turn, or every time I turn a corner, saying, "You've done this," and it's GLaDOS's voice. Then we go to the second one, and it's Skyrim, and it's just like very Elder Scrollsy, and it felt like, okay, so we went underground, and this is what we get next. And it stayed for that way for like 3 parts, and then we're back to modern day. It was just like we come out of the ground, hey, we no longer have Skyrim. It felt like it didn't have an identity. As far as the name, it works because we did find ice. It kind of works with the name, but it just like it didn't have any reason to have any Skyrim or Elder Scrolls backdrops to it at all. It's one of those things where it could have just been left alone and not have those banners. I understood why you put them there, but it's just one of those things where it felt out of place. Yeah, I don't know where it was trying to get in terms of a theme. In terms of just ice, if it was just an ice level, it would work. But again, it's one of those things like that. As far as the finale is concerned, the finale is just kind of everywhere. It's too much going for it. Just way too much going for it. And you shouldn't need that. This also gets into the unneeded like copyright music. It's so out of place. I understood why you put it there. It's cool. It sounds good. It sounds like it works with the military and everything, but it doesn't need to be there. You could just as easily have put the Left 4 Dead music in there, Midnight Riders, for instance, and it would have worked. In fact, it probably would have been better because it would have felt like it was a Left 4 Dead map. Overall, like, it felt there's too many things going on for it. They tried to throw on their ideas all at once. It was kind of good. They did some well in terms of design, where everything was placed, but it still also kind of fell out of place. It just did. So yeah, I'll give it a half. And this comes down to the final one. Do we recommend it? Do you?
Yeah, I'd say people should go play it.
Yeah, and so do I. It's one of those ones where I kind of do like it a lot. It's fun. It's fair. Finale needs some tweaking, but it's still fair and doable. The music does put some ambience in it. It does have some music that's recognizable. Although it's kind of weird to hear Rick Ashley one and then hear a whole different song that's copyrighted from another. Which is, again, why I don't like copyright music in games unless they own the copyright. So yeah, it's a full start on that one. I think you and I gave it kind of the same rating. So let's see, 1, 2. I think you were only a quarter ahead of me, so 3. I think you were 3.5. I was 3.25 out of 5. If I got my math right. Which is very average. It's right on the average, a little bit above it. Go ahead, try this map out. It's actually quite fun. It's done. It's not like it has any major glitches. It just has the one where I think they just need to adjust that. That's all, and that's the elevator one in part 3, I think it was. Other than that, it's a good map. It's not 5 out of 5 good, but it's good. It could, with some tweaking and some adjustments, it can be. It's got potential. At least try to figure out why we're going to Skyrim. Like, how did we manage to get from America to Skyrim, essentially, is what I want to know. Did it just I know there was a flight. That's how we came off. We came off a plane. But it would be interesting to actually have something like that. But yeah. Overall, it's a good map. It's a nice one to start if we ever go back into the series of Defying the Elements again, and hopefully we do. So this is a nice one to get started with. It's been over a year for that stuff. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe down below if you have any feedback. Do you like what we do? Do you want us on webcams next time? Because we just did it the old way because nostalgia. Hopefully we get Dread next time if we continue to do this. We just kind of felt like doing this today. And yeah. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video, which for me probably Loot Crate videos. If not, hey, it might be this again. Who knows? See you later.